Doctors warned them not to have this baby, but they ignored it. When the baby was born, everyone was horrified by what they saw. When Emile Browning and her husband Nicolas found out they were expecting a baby, they felt over the moon and couldn't wait to welcome the little miracle that would change their lives forever. However, when Emily was only 24 weeks pregnant, doctors warned the couple that their son would be born with a facial deformity that could only be treated with an expensive surgery. Despite the warnings, Emily decided not to terminate the pregnancy. When the child was born, Nicolas was horrified by his son's appearance and abandoned him forever. Receiving the news that you are pregnant is undoubtedly one of the things that changes your life in an instant. The love you experience is like no other, and you cannot help but pray that everything is okay with your child, because from now on, you will be responsible for taking care of and protecting another human being. Unfortunately, there are many bad parents who abandon their children simply because they are different. This is Emily's story. She is a middle-class woman who lived in the city of Michigan in the United States with her loving husband Nicolas. Despite not having many belongings, they were very happy together and constantly did activities to keep the spark of their marriage alive. But what they most wanted was one day to receive the blessing of becoming parents, as they had always dreamed of having a child. Then one day, Emily began to feel strange symptoms throughout her body. She had a lot of nausea and a desire to vomit, as well as very strange cravings during meal times. The couple soon began to suspect that their great dream might be becoming a reality. After buying a pregnancy test, they confirmed that Emily was indeed expecting their first child, whom they named Julian. They hoped he would be born healthy and beautiful, just as they had always imagined. Perhaps the one who was most excited about the news was Nicolas, as he wanted his son to be a proper man who resembled his father and was tall, friendly, and handsome with blue eyes and blonde hair. He believed that only then would the boy be worthy of carrying his surname. However, Emily only wanted Julian to be born healthy. To her, the superficial aspects did not matter. She loved her child from the first day she found out she was pregnant, and she would continue to love him no matter what. Months passed, and the couple became increasingly enthusiastic about the arrival of their little one. However, in the 6th month, they received news that left them chilled to the bone. The doctor informed them that their son suffered from a very strange deformation commonly known as a cleft lip, a congenital defect that caused an opening in the upper lip, creating a large gap that could often cause other significant health problems. Upon hearing the news, Emily and her husband began to cry dramatically. They were terrified for the health of their child, who would never have a normal life like other children. The doctor, however, assured the couple that they had nothing to worry about, as their son's condition was quite common in the world. There were many cases like Julian's, and with a simple surgery, their son could lead a normal life, he said. Unfortunately, Nicolas did not want to hear it, and very disappointed, he left the doctor's office, leaving his pregnant wife alone. From that moment on, the relationship between Emily and her husband became distant. They frequently argued over trivial matters. The man didn't want to know anything about the pregnancy, he only went out to drink with his friends, and she didn't complain, hoping her husband would straighten up when the baby was born. The day of the delivery arrived, the second one planned, and Julia was born without many complications. In her mother's eyes, she was the most beautiful child in the world. Her deformity didn't matter, she loved her equally. Unfortunately, the child's father didn't think the same. When he saw the baby for the first time, all he felt was disgust for his own child, saying, "This monster cannot be my son. I can't let anyone see me with this ugly child, it will ruin my reputation forever." It was so much contempt that Nicolas felt that he didn't want to know anything else about little Julian or his wife and left them that same afternoon, refusing to acknowledge the child as his and leaving poor Emily alone with the responsibility of being a single mother. The poor mother began to cry non-stop when she heard his part. She couldn't believe how a man could be so cruel as to deny his own family, especially during the birth of his first child. Despite the pain, Emily never stopped loving her son, and with all her strength, she promised to the heavens that she would never leave Julian alone. She would do everything possible to ensure her son had a dignified and healthy life. The operation to correct his cleft lip was very expensive, and if not done in the first few years of life, the child risked having a large scar forever. The first few months were not easy for the mother and son. Emily applied for a bank loan to pay for the operation her son needed, but it was denied. She couldn't work because she had to take care of Julian, who needed special attention due to his condition. Despite everything, the two managed to move forward. Emily was proud of her son's progress and frequently posted photos of the two of them on social media. She sought to raise awareness about her son's cleft lip and create a better world where everyone could coexist, regardless of being born a little different from others. With much effort and dedication, the poor woman managed to support her family by working part-time at night, leaving the child with a babysitter to pay rent and household expenses, while caring for her son during the day and seeking alternatives to pay for his operation. She was both a mother and a provider, hoping that some help would come from heaven to get out of that situation. One day, while Emily and her son were finishing their meal at a restaurant they usually went to, a very handsome and tall man approached their table. The man introduced himself as James. He is one of the founding members of the Rebuilding Smiles Foundation, a non-profit organization that supports children with cleft lip and provides them with surgical, medical, dental, psychological, and nutritional treatments for their integration into society with a better quality of life. Mr. James has been seeing photos of Julian on social media for a long time and is aware of all the awareness work Emily is doing to educate people about cleft lip. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Emily. I have been wanting to talk to you for several months, but it has not been possible online. By coincidence, we met here," says James. After that, the man takes an envelope out of his pocket and enthusiastically hands it to Emily. When she opens it, the young mother begins to sob with joy because inside there is more than $10,000 in cash along with a note that says it is for her son on behalf of the Rebuilding Smiles Foundation. Emily stood up from her desk and gave Mr. James a big smile and a tremendous hug, thanking him for such a kind gesture. The foundation that he was managing took charge of Julia's medical expenses, and not only that, they hired Emily as the social media manager of the institution. Nobody knew better than her how to educate people about the inclusion of children with deformities. Fortunately, Julian's surgery was successful, and nowadays he is a normal young man who smiles a lot and gets very good grades in school. His father, Nicolas, became homeless, and when he found out what had happened, he ran back to ask for his former wife's forgiveness. However, Emily refused to take him back, as he did not deserve any forgiveness for having mistreated an innocent creature just because it was born a little different.